Congratulations on choosing sport for your child. In a positive sport environment, children have the opportunity to make friends, learn skills, and develop new interests. It takes parents, children, and coaches working together to provide this type of environment. And parents are an integral part of this sport team. Hi, I'm Joan McCusker. As an athlete and a parent, I know how sport can be a powerful vehicle for developing life skills, such as teamwork, dedication, and goal setting.
I think our greatest love affair is our children. And I think for our children, one of the things that's really important to them that we know can make a huge difference in their happiness, their self-esteem, or their stress is their sports. So as our children are that important, that the quality of what they experience in sport is a huge part of what ends up being the quality of their life. It's a great laboratory for them to learn some things about themselves, to bump up against winning and losing where the stakes are kind of artificial.
Children in sport is child-centered. It looks at the development of the whole child and the benefits that participation in sport will give that child.
It taught me a lot about discipline and about working hard and about being committed. And it gave me a sense of community with the people that I played with and the people that I represented. And I think that those are really important attributes aside from competing and achieving.
Self-esteem and self-image is kind of the cornerstone of how we feel about ourselves, and how we feel about ourselves will dictate how motivated we are, what we will learn. It motivates us, it leads to athletic performance, and it also it relates to personal relationships, which essentially is every aspect of our life. So how we feel about ourselves will affect the decisions that we make, and that affects everybody from children to youth to adults to communities to countries.
In the past, children have had a lot of free time for play. Finding ways to be physically active was not a problem. They'd get some friends together, throw a ball around, play shinny, or shoot some hoops. Now, children's lives are far more structured and sedentary. On average, they spend 26 hours a week watching television and more hours in front of computer screens. That's a lot of sitting, and it's starting to show in the overall fitness of our children.
We know that there's about 1/3 of Canadians that are physically active at the level that they should be. And the more children we get involved in sport, that develop a love of sport and a love of physical activity, the better it'll be for the whole country and the whole population at large. Obesity amongst children is growing dramatically, and kids who are active in sport and physically active as a result of their participation in sport are really developing some very important habits for later in life.
Children need 30 minutes of physical activity a day. But how do you encourage a child to get off the couch or to turn off the computer? Well, one good way is to become active yourself. Become a role model of physical activity for your kids. Go skating, biking, or take a walk with them. They'll develop basic motor skills like running, kicking, throwing, jumping, and catching that'll help them play a variety of sports in the future.
The PAC program stands for Parent Athlete Coach Tripod, and the idea behind it is relatively simple but very important. We believe that a child's sporting experience is like a tripod. It has 3 legs or stakeholders with it. The kids, obviously, the young athletes, the parents, and the coaches. And like a tripod, if any one of those isn't functioning properly, the tripod will fall, and so will the sporting experience for kids. So the idea here was that we wanted to get parents, kids, and coaches on the same page and all be thinking the same things.
Each family is different. Each child is different. Their interests and their personalities will determine what sports they'll play. It's tempting to enroll your child in the sports that you enjoyed when you were young, or to encourage them to specialize in one particular sport. However, for a young child, a variety of sports and activities are best. As they grow, they'll be able to make their own decision on what sports they wish to play. As good sport parents, our goal is to make sure that our children's experience is healthy, safe, and fun.
If the kids are involved in different sports and they're doing different patterns of movement in those sports, then the possibilities for increasing strength, the possibilities for increasing flexibility, the possibility of transfer from those activities to other activities is certainly a lot greater. So they really do want to get a variety of activities.
I think that being involved in a variety of different sports is a fantastic thing for a young person, not only because you're able to experience the wide variety, the wide spectrum of things that are out there, not so much for the purpose of finding, where your hidden talent lies, but more just experiencing everything that's out there.
As adults, we need to view sport as an opportunity for children to learn and play. Many adults live vicariously through their children, dreaming of them playing at a professional level and seeing their games as miniature versions of the adult game. This is an adult view. Children see it very differently. We asked some children why they play sport, and this is what they had to say.
It's fun and it gives you a lot of exercise.
My friends are there. Playing sports is fun. I just like it because it's fun. And I store some dolls. That is fun. I like meeting new kids. I like learning new things.
It's fun. I'm good at it. I like my teammates. I like to meet new people. I like performing. And it relaxes me.
Meet your new friends. The coaches you get are nice.
You meet new friends and stuff. And you learn more about other people too.
I like them because they're fun and you get to do games.
Because it's fun.
It's because you get to meet new friends and have fun.
Research into what children want from sport consistently puts winning at the bottom of their list. Being with friends, improving skills, and doing something they're good at ranked much higher than winning. And at the very top of the children's list is to have fun.
The first thing is everybody wants to feel confident in what they do. So I want to make sure that my sons are coached properly so that they actually learn. And along with that, in terms of my expectation, is I want my kids to be thinking about what they can control and what they can improve. So they should be thinking about the skills of the sport rather than the winning and losing. So I want to make sure that they feel confident and think about those things. So then they think about skill learning, and I think that's really important. The next thing I want for my child is I want my child to be able to fit in. And to fit in a sporting situation means you need to be able to compete with the other kids, which is what kids tell us. So to be able to compete means, A, they need to learn the skills. And so that's why I'm really high on skill development and teaching all the kids, not only the best kids, but also the other kids at the end of the spectrum, so they can all fit in. And when they fit in, that fits into the third reason, is that I want my kids to feel significant. In other words, they're important in this situation.
So you can see why it's important for parents and coaches to get to know each other and work together. A good place to start is by having an orientation session.
I think there's a couple of key things. One is for parents and coaches to have a conversation at the beginning of a season and try to get aligned on values, goals, philosophy, expectations. And one thing is, if as a parent you see that you don't line up with fundamentally what you want your kid to get out of sport, then you might see this isn't appropriate. So getting a good click in what you want and what the program and the coach are bringing, I think, is important. From there, to be able to have a sense of expectation. So what should I be doing as a parent to help the coach? What do I want from the coach for my child? During games, should I be on the sideline helping out, or should I be staying in the stands? I also think it's useful to talk before problems happen about what might come up during the season, what might be some challenges we'll face, and how are we going to handle that? So that it's not in the moment when emotions are running high when you're first asking yourself that question. And I think to have an ongoing systems so you have communication between coach and parents and keep that as easy as possible, I think is a crucial thing for a successful youth sport triangle of coach, child, and parent.
Following the orientation session, a parent's role is to support the coach and to help their child develop realistic goals and expectations. The focus should be on developing skills and having fun.
If I had my choice of a philosophical framework that I thought sports should be couched in or built around, it would be fun, fitness, and fundamentals. And I say fitness because, of course, if children aren't physically well developed and motorically well developed, if they really don't have good physical prowess, they're not going to learn skills well, or they're going to learn them with poor technique. So they've got to have fun first because you want them to come back. You've got to be having fun in such a way that I tell the children that their skin's got to leak. You know, that they're sweating and that they're gaining strength in that. As they get fit, of course, then their little bodies are benefiting from what they're doing. So even if they don't become great athletes, they're better for it. So they have fun, they get fit while they're doing it, then teach them the fundamentals. And so many programs go straight after fundamentals. You've got to learn this skill, you've got to learn these drills, you've got to do this. Forgetting that, of course, if they're not fit, they're not going to be able to repeat those skills very many times. If they're not fit, they're not going to be able to jump very high, so the technique changes completely. So yeah, that would be my philosophical framework: fun, fitness, and then fundamentals.
Coaches can deliver sport programs that ensure the children are active during practices, they're developing skills, and they're having fun. They can do this by communicating clearly and positively and making sure that questions are answered. As a parent, if you have a concern about the practice or game, remember to wait until it is over and speak privately with the coach. Work together for a solution by listening and respecting each other's point of view. As parents and coaches, we are striving to introduce the love of sport and physical activity to our children.
They can develop a real passion for activity, for sweating, for playing hard. I mean, it can be a passionate part of their life that they want more of. And that's a benefit to society, of course. So the way we coach children, the way we present sport to children can be in such a way that they're having lots and lots of fun. They're passionate about the activity. That passion stays with them. They become the coaches of the future, who then instill that same passion. And wouldn't that be wonderful if we could do that? And of course we can do that. We can do it especially through kids having lots of fun. Not too much concern about winning.
So how can a coach do this?
My advice to coaches is look children in the eye. Realize that there's children in it, that this is a magical time for them. They may be in the gym or in the playing field for 1, 2, 3 hours a week. It's an absolutely magical time. Look them in the eye, see their excitement, be there with them. Don't be so concerned that your drills and this and your conditioning and all these other things that you have to do are the most important things.
When things go wrong, when there's inappropriate behavior at sporting events, yelling of abuse, rude conduct, or even physical attacks, it's often because as parents we have forgotten that we are there for our children's enjoyment, not our own. We've become too involved. Our behavior of criticizing coaches, officials, players, and even our own children can have a powerful negative impact. Even the best of parents can slip into this emotional trap.
Well, unfortunately, there were always some awkward moments in sport where either parents or people who were watching were overly hard on their expectations of the people playing. There was even an incident I remember having with my dad where I could hear him from the stands pushing me and urging me on, and he probably just got a little overzealous in his own comments. And I felt that he was pushing me beyond kind of where I was at that point. I think that when parents or spectators push for the sake of the game rather than support the individual and their achievements, I think that's when it crosses the line. And those are awkward moments. and they put a bit of a negative spin on what's otherwise a real positive experience. So unfortunately there are a couple of incidents I remember, but I've always been grateful too that for the most part I've had really positive experiences, and people have encouraged me and the teams I played on for our abilities, and haven't measured us just by the wins.
There are other behaviors that are not as easy to recognize that can also hurt children and prevent them from continuing in sport. What we don't say, the silent treatment, the rolling of eyes, or the shrugging of shoulders can be as hurtful as the things that we do say. Also, it's tempting to give advice to your child on the way to or from sporting events, but it's best to leave that job for the coach. Undermining the coach puts your child in a very difficult position. When talking about the game or practice, it's best to concentrate on the skills your child has learned and the friends they've made. By giving positive reinforcement rather than criticism, you'll help develop self-esteem and a love of sport.
But I keep getting surprised that it's not normal behavior of children coming home from sport and the parent asking who won. You know, no concern about, did you have fun today? Did you learn something new today? What was happening? Did you meet some new friends today? No, who won, you know? I mean, that's where the parent can be really supportive of the child by not worrying so much about that winning. I mean, what happened? What was neat about today? What didn't you like about today? What would you like to change? You know, showing some interest in the child's sporting experience, but not wondering about which team won all the time. I mean, it's such a negative thing to have happen.
One of the most important times to support your child is when things don't go well. Never tell them that the event wasn't important. It may have been to them. Rather, ask them what they liked best or least about the event. Let them tell you about their experience and what they feel.
Support is absolutely essential, and I always tell parents you need to support your child win or lose. When they're winning, it's quite easy, right? Everybody can see what's going on. But when you're losing or not doing as well, you need to be in there supporting your kids. And one of the things that's really important here is that most of us, when we make a mistake or don't do well, we tend to dwell on that. Well, one of the things you can do as a parent is you can talk to your kids about things that you saw that they did well, because the chances of them remembering that are pretty remote. But if you saw that they had done some really good things in other parts of their game that maybe didn't end up with a positive outcome, but they say they played the position well or they controlled their temper when somebody was baiting them, then talk to them about that. The other thing you can do in terms of support, and this is really critical, they're tied together, is get your kids to think about things that they can control. And if kids are thinking about what they can control, so that's their effort, how hard they work, whether they play their position, what we call the process goals, then you have something to talk about, having something to talk with them about at the end of the game versus just the outcome. And then you can support them in the things that they can control, and that's what you should be really doing. But if you're supporting them in things such as scoring the most goals or striking out the side or whatever it might be, you're putting a lot of pressure on them because they can't control those outcomes, but they can control the other things we talked about, and that's the things you should be supporting and talking about.
Dan Farthing learned a valuable lesson from his parents.
I think the number one way that they supported all of us was taking an active interest in our participation. They would always come to the game, and they would always be very, very supportive. And when things didn't necessarily go our way, they didn't help us find excuses. They helped us to find ways that we could improve ourselves. And that's a lesson that you can take to other areas of your life as well. You know, not just participating in sport. That, you know, there are reasons for successes and failures and things like that. And oftentimes you may have control over some of those factors that dictate a success or a failure. And I think that was one very, very important lesson that my parents taught us.
It takes parents and coaches working together to create a powerful and positive experience for children in sport. By putting fun and the development of your child first, your child will end up winning for a lifetime.
I think key is the happiness and joy that the children get from participating in the sport. If you go to any playground, go to any sporting event, and look at the faces of the kids, and you can immediately understand the benefits.
Sport is a place where we get to play, and I think as human beings that's a huge part of who we are, and keeping that spirit of play alive is crucial. That there's that sense of magic and wonder that we all have when we're little that tends to fade away as life goes on, and sport is a place where that comes back.
I think the value of our children is there's no way to measure it. You know, it's an old cliche, but the children are the future. And I think as parents we are in a unique situation, and we have the opportunity to affect the future. Children are like little sponges, and they take up everything that's their environment. So the role models or the type of activities that we want them to participate or be exposed to, as parents we have that opportunity when they're small.
We hope the information and insights we have presented will help you and your child to have a happy and positive, lifelong involvement in sport. There are many Children in Sport resources available, including the Parents Resource Guide, which you'll want to refer to many times throughout your child's participation in sport. To find out about other resource material, or for more information, please call 1-800-319-GAME. or visit the website at sasksport.sk.ca. Children in Sport is brought to you by the members of Sask Sport.